Hello and welcome to the Sleep Training Masterclass. I'm Sally. I'm a certified sleep consultant, a pediatric nurse, and the founder of the Sleep Concierge. Probably my most important title, however, is Mum, or as I hear it in my house, Mummy! And as a mother of two, I know firsthand how challenging and exhausting sleep issues can be, especially during those early months. And that's why I've dedicated my career to helping families like yours navigate the world of baby sleep with confidence and compassion. Now, I've had two completely different experiences when it comes to my own babies and sleep. My first baby was an absolute dream sleeper. I would go weeks between hearing her cry. She slept like a dream in her bassinet, in my arms, in the cot. She was a natural self-settler and slept 12 hours on the night she turned 12 weeks old. And to be honest, it's been pretty smooth sailing ever since. Then I had my second baby. I had a traumatic birth during a pandemic. I was home 11 hours later with a 4.6 kilo baby who I couldn't lift up because I had sprained both of my arms during labor. I also had a toilet training toddler in tow and a husband who went back to work the next day. And that wasn't because he's a jerk, but because we had just assumed it would be easy like with our first. Instead, I had a baby with a very different temperament. FOMO, incredibly social. He properly smiled before he was 3 weeks old. And he cried a lot. But it wasn't in that traditional colic, purple crying kind of way. It turns out he had a fractured collarbone from birth that I didn't know about. And once that had healed, he was still a pretty spirited baby who didn't want to be put down for sleep, and my body was still incredibly broken. Probably to nobody's surprise, I had postnatal depression, and as my husband described it months down the track, I was coping, but it was to my detriment. I remember reading my very own 4th trimester guide, trying to remind myself of the realistic expectations of newborn sleep. And as I came to the end of the newborn stage, I just couldn't grapple with the idea that I had to wait 2 more months before I could work on getting better cot sleep, independent sleep, and self-settling. So, long story long, I didn't. I used all of the foundational knowledge I had, and I got started in a really age-appropriate way. And guess what? He slept 12 hours at 15 weeks, was having to be woken from long naps, and now at 2.5 years old, this angel baby is still an amazing sleeper, still spirited, but I have never been loved the way that he loves me. Now, when people mention the idea of sleep training, there is such a contentious division of opinions. But do you want to know the main things I hear from my clients? Sleep training saved our lives. Sleep training saved my sanity. I wish I had done this sooner. Or families that go on to have their subsequent child and they say, I had such an easier time with my next child because I had learnt so much from working with you when we had our first child. And it's not just buzzwords. Sleep training saved my life. There's so much conflicting information out there and it can be hard to separate fact from fiction. So my goal is to empower you with evidence-based knowledge and practical strategies so you can make informed decisions about your baby's sleep. While the strategies I discuss have proven effective, consistent effort is key to achieving lasting results. Every baby and family is unique, but with the right tools and support, you too can overcome your sleep challenges. In this masterclass, we'll cover everything from understanding sleep cycles to creating an optimal sleep environment and then implementing sleep training techniques, which is not as scary as it sounds. But this is just the beginning. I'll also be introducing my brand new 3 to 4 month baby sleep course and a one-of-a-kind baby sleep community membership for ongoing personalized support. So grab a coffee and let's dive in. At its core, sleep training is about teaching and supporting your baby to fall asleep independently. This means helping them develop the skills to settle themselves to sleep without relying on external assistance like rocking, feeding, or patting. I like to refer to these as assisted or unassisted sleep associations, but you may have heard of them as positive or negative sleep associations. While there's nothing inherently wrong with any of these things, for many families, it can become unsustainable, especially after the 4-month sleep regression. The 4-month sleep regression refers to a regression that happens because of a development in your baby's sleep cycles. Now, not all babies will experience a regression during this stage, my own included, but all will go through this sleep cycle change. And that's why you can be watching this webinar with your newborn and start laying down the foundations now to help have a smoother experience during this time. Newborns only have 2 stages of sleep: active sleep, quiet sleep, active sleep, quiet sleep. And they have this ability to drift between the two, usually quite easily. Then around 3 to 5 months, although for some it absolutely happens earlier, their sleep cycles mature to become more adult-like with 4 stages. So all of a sudden, babies who were sleeping 8-hour stretches overnight can start waking every 1 to 2 hours overnight and after 30 to 45 minutes during the day. So often these wakings end up with parents needing to fully assist their babies back to sleep multiple times a night. And this is where everyone, parents and babies alike, start to become pretty overtired, pretty cranky, and if there's one thing I know about overtired babies is that they can cry a lot when it comes to sleep. Not only that, they can start presenting as having low sleep totals and just overall poor quality sleep. Tired signs also start to become a little less reliable because they might be showing them 20 minutes after waking. And let's be honest, I'd be yawning too if I'd woken 8 times before midnight. Now, none of this is to scare you. It's to give you solidarity if this is what you're experiencing. Or perhaps your newborn never stopped waking every 1 to 2 hours overnight despite getting older. This is not because you or your baby have done anything wrong. Baby sleep can be hard and babies are ever evolving. You don't need to fear any of this because sleep training is the light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes I hear from families about how they never had to sleep train their baby, and I'm included in that. I never had to choose a night, choose a technique, and sleep train my child. What I did though is I've just always put them down awake in their cot and given them a chance to self-settle since they were newborns. That is sleep training. Some families tell me about how they swapped out rocking for patting and then patting for shushing. That is sleep training. Some tell me about how controlled crying is what worked best for their families. That is sleep training. But it doesn't have to be this all or nothing event. I want to emphasize that the specific sleep training technique is really just the cherry on top. 85% of my focus when I work one-on-one with clients is ensuring that all of the crucial foundations are in place before we implement any methods. This includes optimizing the sleep environment, establishing age-appropriate schedules for feeding and sleep, addressing health concerns, supporting mental health, considering family preferences, and ensuring that you have all of your ducks in a row before you use a sleep training technique. Because without these foundations, even the most well-executed technique is unlikely to succeed short-term and long-term. There is no amount of shushing and patting that is going to help a baby fall asleep if a fundamental need has been met. It's like building a house. You can't put up the walls without first laying a solid base. So let's cover these basics now. I want you to create the optimal sleep environment for your baby, whether that's in your room or in their own space. And these are the foundations that you can have in place from day one. We're talking blackout blinds. I recommend having these in place from at least 8 weeks of age. 18 to 21 degree room and dressed appropriately and warm enough, particularly for the coldest part of the night, which is about 2 to 4 a.m. I want you to add in white noise that runs all night long and for the entire length of the nap. No more of these toys that just play a lullaby for the first 15 minutes. Just be sure to have it about 7 feet away from your baby's head as per the AAP guidelines. Pop the gorgeous Pinterest-worthy mobile from above the cot over and above the change table. We want a naked, safe, and boring sleep environment. If you have a red light on, that's personal preference. I don't think babies need it, but if you like it, keep it. Otherwise, just use it when you're settling or feeding and need to see where you're going to stay safe. If your baby has shown signs of rolling, you'll need to transition them out of the swaddle and the bassinet and into a sleeping bag in the cot. Now, you also need an age-appropriate feeding and sleep schedule. Sleep science is half the battle won. If your baby is younger than 3 to 4 months, wake windows and tired signs are your best friend. over 3 months, and I like to have babies on a schedule to help nudge their developing body clock in the right direction and to start giving you some freedom and flexibility in your day. From 5 months on, I purely work to a clock-based schedule. I provide all of these in my sleep guides, courses, and one-on-one sleep consultations. I also want you to make sure that your baby is tanking up with calories with full active feeds during the day. Think tanking up, not topping up. Now I want you to pay attention to how your baby falls asleep and how you're resettling. Where could you be doing less? My formula to sleep training is fully assisted days, independent nights. So while you're working to a sleep schedule, feel free to fully assist and contact nap with your baby. You can absolutely sleep train days and nights at the same time, but for the majority of the families that I work with, assisted naps in the pram, car, or in your arms while you watch Netflix helps to keep sleep totals up, cuddles galore, and brings the process down into achievable stages. Now comes sleep training at bedtime. I do the bulk of my sleep training work at bedtime because this is when your baby's hormones are primed for sleep. My goal is to always reduce tears, so let's work with the grain and not against it. If you've got a strong feed to sleep association and your baby is over 3 to 4 months of age, I usually recommend trying to feed 30 minutes prior bedtime to help start putting your baby down in a calm but awake state. Now you can also gradually wean that as feels right for you. Which reminds me, don't worry if you can't achieve that elusive drowsy but awake state. I aim for calm but awake. Now, there's a wide range of techniques, from gentle methods with lots of parental presence to intermediate approaches which allow some crying, and then to the other end of the spectrum with cry it out. It's important to remember there's no one size fits all. No, you just choose whatever works for your family and not for somebody else. You will also find no judgment from me with what you decide to use. So not only have I dabbled and implemented some of these strategies with my own children, but I've witnessed their transformative impact on families just like yours. I recently worked with a family of a 7-month-old who was literally fighting the parents in their arms, thrashing and scratching at bedtime. It was hard and it wasn't productive. Their baby's temperament needed more space. Similarly, lots of babies that I work with need a more gradual wean and lots of parental assistance. So let's explore a few of the most popular sleep training methods. First, we've got fading out, which maybe you've heard of as the chair method, the camping out. You are going to gradually decrease parental presence over time. So maybe you've pulled up a chair on night 1 and you're as hands on it as you need to be. And you're going to do that to fully assist your baby to sleep every single time they wake up if it isn't a feed. Then, after a couple of nights, you're going to move your chair away, maybe halfway between the cot and the door. And over time, you're going to do less and less so that your baby does more and more of the self-settling. Then we've got something like pick up, put down. Picking up baby when crying, briefly comforting, and then putting down drowsy but awake. Repeat until asleep. Then, and this is one of my personal favorites, particularly for babies aged 4 and 5 months of age and above, is the timed checks. Ferber, gradual extinction, soothe and support, responsive settling. You're going to pop your baby down awake, allow for some crying, but check in at increasing intervals. And maybe you don't want to increase the intervals. Maybe you choose your max. If you only can be out of the room for 5 minutes, you're just going to do 5, 5, 5 until your baby falls asleep. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we've got extinction method or cry it out. And the only rule about that is you essentially pop your baby down awake in their cot and you leave them to cry until they fall asleep, and the only time you go in is for a scheduled feed or in the morning. Now that's not for everyone, but there are plenty of other methods on the spectrum that will feel right for you and your family values, but also for your baby's temperament. I think it's really important to note that while hands-on fading methods work for some babies, they may overstimulate others, especially after 4 to 6 months. In these cases, a more straightforward approach with less interaction may be more effective. And contrary to popular belief, the 3 to 4 month stage is actually ideal for gently encouraging self-settling and building these healthy habits. Babies this age typically aren't too overtired yet. They have strong sleep pressure and haven't deeply ingrained sleep associations that are needing to be unlearned. The key is approaching the process gradually with sensitivity to your baby's unique developmental needs. This is where expert guidance and a clear but flexible plan makes all the difference. Now let's address some common myths and misconceptions about sleep training. Myth number 1, that sleep training ruins attachment. Science does not support this. Attachment is an endured bond developed through responsive care over time. Studies show appropriate sleep training doesn't harm attachment and can actually improve daytime interactions and reduce maternal mental health issues. Exhibit A. Now, myth number 2, that sleep training is synonymous with cried out. We've just gone over this. Cried out is just one end of the spectrum. Sleep training includes many methods involving varying degrees of parental presence. The key is finding an approach that aligns with your family, and remember that babies can cry whether you are in the room or out of the room. Myth number 3, that sleep training is harmful. Again, evidence demonstrates behaviourally based interventions, including those with some crying, are safe and effective when done properly. Chronic sleep deprivation has far more negative impacts. And myth number 4, babies naturally learn to sleep independently. And while sleep is biological, settling independently is a skill for so many babies. I've had one natural soother and one who absolutely needed assistance and support in learning how to do it. Some babies pick it up easily, but many need guidance. And unaddressed infant sleep issues often persist into toddlerhood and beyond. So one of the most common questions I get asked is, when is the right time to sleep train? As I've mentioned, you can sleep train from day one by bonding, feeding, creating an optimal sleep environment, a bedtime routine, working to wake windows, and creating a ritual and a gentle rhythm and routine to your day. Most people feel like they have to wait until 5 to 6 months for more formal and active sleep training. And while that's absolutely fine to wait, as a mother, I understand the idea of having to struggle through the ages of 3 to 4 months with no support and no plan to feel kind of hopeless. There is a huge amount of change happening during this time, and I actually love sleep training this age group. And if you were like me and you're feeling overwhelmed navigating this no man's land of 3 to 4 month baby sleep, you are not alone. While we're not talking formal sleep training at this age, you are able to lay the crucial healthy sleep foundations. And that's why I created the 3 to 4 month baby sleep course, to empower you with the knowledge and tools to get through this challenging stage and set your baby up for success. The course focuses on optimizing sleep environment, age appropriate schedules, and a menu of settling techniques that respect development. When I first started working as a sleep consultant, I used to be afraid of working with 3 to 4 month old babies, and now I absolutely love it. You haven't had months of these habits being formed because up until now they've been a newborn. I've worked with 4 month old babies that on night 1 sleep 11 hours straight and have naturally weaned their own unnecessary overnight feeds. And this is why I'm so excited to introduce the 3 to 4 month sleep course, your step-by-step roadmap to better baby and family sleep. I already have a 4th trimester sleep guide and I have a 5 to 12 month sleep guide. Now it's time to help you in the trenches of the 3 to 4 month stage. Through comprehensive video modules, I'll walk you through creating an optimal sleep environment, understanding your baby's sleep and why they need it, how to keep or ditch the dummy, how to troubleshoot early rising. I'll provide you with age-appropriate feeding and sleep schedules, whether your baby's a catnapper or can already take longer naps. I'll provide a bedtime routine and a menu of settling techniques for different temperaments and the exact steps to follow to implement them. How to figure out if your baby is waking from habit or hunger and how to resettle without a feed. I'll also guide you through supporting your baby to take nice long naps. You'll get downloadable resources like a safe sleep checklist, how to transition out of the swaddle, and a plan for weaning out unnecessary overnight feeds. I'm also announcing my very own private support community, Snooze Social, which is a membership for anyone looking for a community of like-minded parents in need of personalized sleep advice from, well, me. I haven't yet found something like Snooze Social before. It's judgment-free social sleep advice for the price of a coffee, with an ever-growing library of resources, masterclasses, and live Q&As. This is so exciting for me, and I really hope it is for you too. But how do I know that any of this works? Well, with my experience and hundreds of real-life success stories, you can feel confident that these strategies transform sleep struggles. It worked for me, it can absolutely work for you, and just take a look at my Google reviews. But what if you're too busy? The course is designed to be self-paced with bite-sized modules. We'll customize a plan to fit your family's schedule. You can work through it at your own pace. And what if you're unsure if you can't do it? Well, you'll have my step-by-step guidance through videos and resources, a support community, and success models to draw from. I'll be there every step of the way. But let's recap the key takeaways from this masterclass. Sleep training teaches independent sleep using techniques ranging in parental involvement, not just cry it out. The method is only one part. Optimizing environment, schedules, and routine is crucial for success. Common myths about sleep training harming attachment or babies are not backed by scientific evidence when done appropriately. And 3 to 4 months is prime for gently encouraging self-settling skills and healthy habits. The 3 to 4 month sleep course provides the comprehensive roadmap through this unique stage, and as always, there is personalized support available. Whether that's via a one-on-one consultation, a 2-week package, or I invite you to join my Snooze Social membership for all of those follow-up, quick, middle-of-the-night questions you have. Thank you for joining me today. I cannot wait to celebrate your baby sleep wins.